I still remember the moment it began, not with a scream, not with an argument, but with a single look. A look from my mom that pierced straight through me, stripped away everything I thought I was, and replaced it with something I wasn't ready to face. That was the day my life, as her son, ended. My name is Ryan. I was 19 at the time, a university freshman, the kind of boy who blended into the background. I wasn't a troublemaker, but I wasn't the star child either. I had average grades, average looks, average everything. And maybe that's why I thought life would stay simple, because nothing about me ever stood out.
But Mom always saw more than I wanted her to.
She had this uncanny way of reading me, like her eyes could peel back every layer I tried to hide. When she looked at me, really looked at me, it was as if she could see the secrets I hadn't even admitted to myself. I used to laugh it off, but deep down it scared me. That night, I came home later than usual. The air outside had been cold, the kind that makes you pull your jacket tighter, but inside the house everything felt strangely warm, too warm, almost suffocating. Mom was waiting in the living room, seated perfectly upright in her favorite armchair, a soft lamp casting light across her face. She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her eyes found mine the second I stepped through the door. It wasn't an angry stare, not disappointment either. It was sharper than that, like she'd finally decided something. The way she held me in her gaze made my chest tighten, made my legs weak. I froze there in the doorway, clutching my backpack strap, my throat dry. "Ryan," she said finally, her voice calm but heavy with meaning, "sit down. We need to talk." Those words should have been ordinary. Parents say them all the time. But paired with that look, they felt like a sentence being handed down. My pulse raced, my mind scrambling through every possible reason she might want to talk. Did I do something wrong? Did she find out about? No, she couldn't have. I never told anyone. I sat across from her on the couch, the fabric prickling against my skin. She leaned forward slightly, studying me with eyes that seemed to grow darker by the second. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. It was like her stare pinned me in place, forcing me to confront something I didn't even understand yet. That was the moment I realized I wasn't in control anymore. I thought I was just Ryan, her son, living an ordinary life. But from the way she looked at me that night, I knew she saw someone else entirely. And once she decided who I was, there would be no turning back. Mom's silence stretched, heavy and unbroken. I could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, each second feeling like a hammer against my chest. Her eyes never left me, and though I wanted to break free from her gaze, something about it held me down. Finally, she spoke. "Ryan, I've been watching you closely. You think you hide things from me, but I see more than you realize." My throat tightened. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice cracking slightly. She leaned back, crossing her legs with a calmness that only made me more uneasy. "You've been struggling. You don't know who you are, do you?" Her words hit me harder than I expected. I wanted to deny it, to laugh it off, but I couldn't. Because deep inside, I knew she wasn't entirely wrong. I had questions about myself I never spoke out loud, thoughts I tried to bury. I swallowed hard. "I'm fine. I know who I am." Her lips curved into the faintest smile, not mocking, but certain. "No, Ryan. You only think you do. But I've seen you. The way your eyes linger when you pass by the mirror, the way you flinch when I mention your father, the way you avoid anything that might make you stand out." Heat rushed to my face. I gripped the edge of the couch cushion, my knuckles white. "That doesn't mean anything." She tilted her head slightly. "Doesn't it?" I had no answer. The silence that followed was suffocating. She reached to the side table and lifted something I hadn't noticed before, a small velvet box. She set it on the coffee table between us. My heart skipped. "What's that?" "Something I've kept for years," she said softly, waiting for the right moment. She slid the box toward me. I hesitated, then slowly opened it. Inside was a lipstick deep crimson, the kind that glowed under the light. My breath caught in my throat. "This was mine," she explained, her eyes never leaving my reaction. "The first shade I ever wore when I decided to stop hiding who I was. And now, Ryan, I think it's time you stop hiding too." I slammed the box shut, my hands trembling.
No.
This is crazy. I'm your son. I'm not what you think. Her expression didn't change.
Calm.
Steady.
Certain.
One look was all it took for me to know.
You don't have to say it, Ryan.
I see it in you. Tears stung my eyes, and anger bubbled inside me.
Why are you doing this?
Why can't you just leave me alone? Mom leaned forward, her voice low but firm. Because I know what happens if you keep pretending. You'll break. And I won't watch my child destroy themselves when I can help them become who they were always meant to be. The lipstick sat between us like a loaded weapon. My mind screamed to run, but my body wouldn't move. Something about the way she spoke, so absolute, so sure, made me question everything I thought I knew. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw the crimson lipstick staring back at me. The velvet box sat on my desk like it was waiting for me to make a choice, but I didn't touch it. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself Mom was wrong. But then, why couldn't I throw it away? The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She made breakfast, humming softly as if last night's conversation never existed. That scared me even more. I didn't trust her silence. When I sat at the table, she slid a plate in front of me, then calmly placed a folded bundle of fabric beside it. My stomach sank as I realized it wasn't just clothes, it was a dress. Pale blue, delicate, and impossibly soft-looking. I froze. What is this? Her eyes were calm, unwavering. Today, Ryan, you're going to stop fighting me. My fork clattered against the plate.
No. No way.
I'm not wearing that. She didn't raise her voice, but the firmness in her tone left no room for argument. You will. You think you still have a choice, but you don't. That moment ended last night. A chill ran down my spine. I'm your son, I whispered, like saying it out loud would remind her of reality. But she only gave me that same unreadable smile. You're my child.
That hasn't changed.
But what you are, that's different. I'm not taking your sonhood away, Ryan. You never truly lived in it. I shoved back from the table, my chair screeching across the floor. I'm not doing this. She stepped closer, her presence overwhelming, her shadow falling across me. She held up the dress and let it drape from her hands. It swayed gently, catching the morning light, impossibly graceful. Just try it, she said softly, almost like a plea. One look. That's all I ask. If you hate it, I'll never bring it up again. I wanted to laugh in her face, to tell her no, to slam the door and run. But I couldn't. My body betrayed me. My eyes lingered on the fabric, on how soft it looked, how light it seemed. A part of me, a part one hated, wanted to know how it would feel against my skin. My hands trembled. You won't let this go, will you? Her gaze softened, but her answer was immediate. Never. I felt the walls close in. My pulse thundered in my ears. Slowly, hesitantly, I reached out and touched the dress. The fabric slid through my fingers like water, smooth and delicate. Mom's voice dropped to a whisper. Good. Now go change. I wanted to scream, but instead, I found myself carrying the dress down the hall, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. I locked the bathroom door, staring at my reflection. The boy in the mirror looked terrified, desperate. My hands shook as I undressed, each movement heavy with shame and fear. When I slipped the dress over my head, the world seemed to shift. The fabric brushed against me, light and strange, clinging in ways I wasn't ready for. I stared at myself in the mirror, and for the first time, I didn't recognize who I was. A knock at the door jolted me. Mom's voice came through, calm but commanding. Step out, Ryan. Let me see. I gripped the sink, fighting back tears. My son life, it felt like it was slipping away already. The bathroom door felt heavier than it ever had in my life. My hand lingered on the knob, sweaty and hesitant. I could still feel the fabric brushing against my skin, every thread reminding me this wasn't just a nightmare, it was happening. Ryan. Mom's voice came, low and steady from the other side. Open the door. My throat tightened. I can't. You can. And you will. Her tone wasn't angry, but it was final. A command cloaked in calm. For a moment, I considered locking myself in here forever. But deep down, I knew that door wasn't going to stop her. With shaking hands, I turned the knob. The hinges creaked as the door opened, and I stepped into the hallway. Her eyes swept over me slowly. I felt like a specimen under glass, exposed and fragile. She didn't laugh. She didn't tease. She only smiled faintly, like she'd been waiting years for this exact moment. "You see," she whispered, "it suits you." I swallowed hard. This is wrong. I look ridiculous. Her head tilted.
No.
"You look unfinished." She walked closer, her perfume surrounding me, her presence overpowering. She reached out and adjusted the shoulder of the dress, her touch sending a shiver through me. Clothes are only part of it. The rest comes next. I backed away, but she was already moving toward the vanity she had set up in the living room, makeup neatly laid out, brushes and palettes in a careful row. My stomach dropped. "No," I said, my voice cracking. "No way. I'm not letting you." Her eyes locked onto mine. That same piercing look. The one that started all of this. One look, and my protests wilted in my throat. She patted the chair in front of the mirror. "Sit." I stood frozen, every instinct screaming to run. But my legs moved on their own, carrying me to the chair. I sat, trembling, as she tied a cape around my shoulders. My reflection stared back at me, pale and terrified, draped in a dress that didn't belong to me. Mom stood behind me, her hands gentle but firm. She brushed my hair back, her fingers weaving through the strands as if she'd done this 100 times before. "You don't have to fight so hard," she murmured, almost tenderly. "It doesn't suit you." My chest tightened. "I'm your son," I whispered again, clinging to the words like a lifeline. She leaned down, her lips close to my ear. "And I love you more for this. For finally letting go." Before I could respond, she picked up a brush and dipped into foundation. My eyes widened as she touched it to my face, cool and foreign. I flinched, but she held my chin steady. Stroke after stroke, the boy in the mirror blurred, his edges softening under her careful hands. Then came the powder, the contour, the faint sweep of blush across my cheeks. With every layer, the boy faded more, and someone else began to surface. Someone I didn't know. Someone I wasn't ready to see. Tears burned in my eyes. "Please stop." Her gaze met mine in the mirror. That same calm smile, unshakable.
No, Ryan.
"This is only the beginning." And with that, she reached for the lipstick. The same crimson shade from last night. She twisted it up, the color gleaming under the light, and lifted it toward me. My breath caught. One look had started this. Now one stroke would change everything. The tube of lipstick hovered inches from my mouth, and I swear I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. Every instinct screamed to turn my head, to push her hand away, to run. But I didn't move. I couldn't. Her grip on my chin wasn't harsh, but it was absolute, an anchor that left me powerless. The first stroke of crimson painted across my lower lip, cool and heavy. My breath stuttered. By the time she finished the top, I couldn't recognize the reflection staring back at me. The boy who had lived in that mirror was gone. What stared back was something else. Someone softer, fragile, unfinished, but undeniably changed. Mom set the tube down with a satisfied click. Perfect. My throat worked around words I couldn't say. My voice, when it finally came, was hoarse. "You've ruined me." Her smile was gentle, but her eyes gleamed like steel. "No, Ryan. I've revealed you." I shook my head violently, but the movement only made the earrings I hadn't even noticed her clip onto me swing against my neck. The sound, that tiny tink, was a sound I shouldn't be making. Panic flared hot in my chest. "Take it off. Please, Mom. Take all of it off." She didn't argue. She didn't even raise her voice. Instead, she walked to the corner, picked up a pair of black heels, and placed them at my feet. "Stand." I stared at them, horrified.
No.
One step, she said simply. That's all. My legs shook as I slid my feet into the shoes. The unfamiliar arch forced me forward, unsteady, awkward. When I stood, my height changed, my balance shifted, my reflection grew taller, more poised, almost alien. Now, she said, folding her arms, walk to the end of the hall. I stumbled on the first step, catching myself against the wall. My mother's calm voice cut through my panic. Slow. Graceful. You're not rushing. You're floating. Her words seeped into me, steadying me even as I tried to resist. Step by step, I reached the end of the hall. My reflection in the full-length mirror at the end stole the breath from my lungs. The lipstick, the heels, the dress, all of it combined into a version of me I couldn't deny existed. I spun back toward her, desperate. Why are you doing this to me? She came closer, her heels clicking against the floor like a metronome, deliberate and controlled. Because you've spent your whole life pretending to be someone you're not. And I won't let you waste another day hiding. I'm your son, I whispered again, weaker this time, like the words had lost their meaning. She touched my cheek, her thumb grazing the edge of the lipstick. You're my child. And now, finally, you're becoming who you were meant to be. Her certainty terrified me more than anything else, because part of me, deep down, feared she might be right. The echo of my unsteady footsteps in those heels hadn't even faded when Mom pulled a chair into the middle of the room and sat down, folding her hands calmly in her lap. She looked at me like a teacher studying a student, or worse, like an artist studying a canvas that wasn't finished yet. You've taken your first steps, she said. Now comes the rest. I wrapped my arms around myself, lipstick still thick on my lips, the hem of the dress brushing against my knees. The rest of what? Her smile was faint, deliberate. Your role. A chill spread through me.
Role?
I don't want to roll. I'm not playing a part. She shook her head slowly. Ryan, you've been playing a part your whole life. Pretending to be someone you're not. Pretending to be a son when, in truth, you were never meant to live only that way. My chest tightened, fury mixing with fear.
Stop saying that.
I know who I am. Her gaze cut right through me, sharp as glass. Then say it. My lips trembled. The words "I'm your son" should have come easily, like before. But after the lipstick, the heels, the reflection, the sentence felt broken. My voice cracked on the first syllable. She leaned forward, her tone softer now, coaxing. Let's try something else. When I look at you like this, I don't see Ryan. I see someone new. Someone beautiful. She needs a name. I shook my head violently.
No.
Don't do this. Her voice dropped lower, gentle, patient. Close your eyes. Against every instinct, I obeyed. Darkness pressed in around me, and I felt her hand lightly squeeze mine. Picture her, Mom whispered. The reflection you just saw. The girl staring back at you. What would her name be? Tears burned at the corners of my eyes. I don't know, I choked. Yes, you do. Her words brushed against me like silk. It's there waiting. Just say it. A war raged inside me. Every rational part screamed to resist, to cling to the name I'd carried my whole life. But another voice, a quieter, treacherous one, whispered that she was right. That reflection needed a name. My lips moved before I could stop them. A single word slipped out, fragile and trembling. Rachel. The second it left me, I opened my eyes, horrified. I wanted to take it back, to shove the word down my throat and lock it away. But Mom was already smiling. A smile of victory. Rachel, she repeated softly, savoring the name like it was a promise. She cupped my face in her hands. There she is. No, I gasped, stumbling back. That's not me. I didn't mean it. But the sound of that name hung in the room, heavier than any dress or makeup. It had weight. It had power. And part of me knew it had already taken root. The name still echoed in my head long after I had blurted it out. Rachel. It didn't belong to me, yet it clung to me like the dress against my skin. I paced the living room in those impossible heels, my reflection catching in the glass of the window. Every glimpse felt like betrayal. Mom didn't let me collapse into silence for long. She stood, steady and composed, as if she'd already mapped every step of what would come next. "Sit down," she said, pointing to the chair again. I obeyed without thinking, anger and fear boiling just under my skin. She crossed her arms. "From now on, there are rules." My chest tightened. "Rules?" Her nod was firm.
Yes.
"If you are Rachel, you must live as Rachel. That means your walk, your posture, your gestures, your voice, all of it. We'll practice until it's natural." My hands curled into fists. "I'm not Rachel. I'm Ryan." Her eyes pierced mine with that same unflinching calm. "Ryan doesn't look back at me anymore." I trembled. "You can't erase me." She leaned closer, her voice low and deliberate. "I'm not erasing you. I'm refining you. You'll thank me one day." My throat burned. I wanted to scream, to tear the lipstick off, to rip the dress from my body. But then her hand landed on my shoulder, gentle, grounding, terrifying. "Stand," she ordered. I rose shakily, balancing again on the heels. "Now back straight. Chin high. Don't stomp like a boy. Glide like a lady." Humiliation twisted inside me, but I obeyed. I tried to take a step, too quick, too stiff. I nearly tripped. "Slow," she corrected, her tone neither cruel nor kind, just certain.
Control.
"Each step is a statement." I walked again, each movement awkward, mechanical. She circled me like a hawk, adjusting my elbows, nudging my hips into position. "Better," she murmured. Again. Over and over. She made me repeat the walk until the clumsy boyishness bled out, replaced by something smoother, softer. My legs shook, my cheeks burned, but I couldn't stop. When she finally let me rest, she guided me to the vanity again. "Now your voice," she said. I froze. My voice.
Yes.
Rachel doesn't bark. She doesn't mumble. She speaks lightly, gently. "Try." My throat constricted. I can't." Her gaze sharpened. "You can. Say, 'Hello, my name is Rachel.'" The words stabbed me. I shook my head. "No." Her look silenced me. That same look, the one that started everything. Tears blurred my vision. My lips trembled as I forced the words out in a broken whisper. "Hello, my name is Rachel." A tear slipped down my cheek the moment I said it. Mom's hand wiped it away before it could fall further. Her smile was soft, almost maternal.
"See?
Beautiful. We'll practice every day until it's perfect." I collapsed into the chair, shaking. My name, my voice, my walk all slipping further from me. And worst of all, I was starting to wonder if escape was even possible anymore. The next morning, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd let it go. That I'd wake up, and the dress would be gone. The lipstick wiped clean, the name forgotten. But when I stumbled into the kitchen, still groggy, she was waiting. Not with breakfast. Not with coffee. With another dress. It lay across the table like a sentence. Soft fabric draped in perfect folds, lighter than the one I wore last night. Almost casual, yet unmistakably not meant for me. "No," I muttered instantly, backing away. "Not again." Her voice was calm, but carried weight.
Yes.
"Again. And this time, you won't just wear it here." My blood turned to ice. "What do you mean?" She held my gaze, unblinking. "You're coming with me." The words hit harder than anything before.
What?
"Out there?
No.
People will see." Her lips curved in a faint smile. "That's the point." Panic surged through me. I shook my head so violently my hair fell into my face. "I won't. You can't make me." She stepped closer, her tone lowering to something deadly certain. "One look, Ryan. Do I need to remind you what it does?" My knees nearly buckled. That look, that impossible, commanding look that had undone me from a start, flashed in her eyes. I felt myself trembling, the fight draining out before it could even ignite. "You'll wear it," she continued softly, "and you'll walk with me. Not as Ryan, as Rachel." "No," I whispered, but it sounded weak, even to me. She reached forward and placed the dress in my hands. I didn't drop it. I couldn't. The fabric burned against my skin, a weight heavier than steel. "Change," she ordered. In the mirror of my room, I saw myself again, lipstick reapplied, hair brushed, dress fitted. I stared at the reflection, at the stranger staring back. My throat ached. When I emerged, she looked me over with quiet approval. "Better. Now, heels on. We're going." Terror clawed at me. "Where?" Her smile widened. "Just the store. Nothing dramatic. A simple errand. But if you can't manage that, Rachel, then perhaps you're not ready to be seen." Her words twisted in my gut. It wasn't just a threat, it was a test. And part of me, despite every ounce of resistance, knew she expected me to pass. I shook my head weakly. "People will laugh. They'll know." Her eyes softened, but her voice was steel. "No one will know. Not if you carry yourself properly. Not if you trust me." My chest heaved. Out there, in the real world, there'd be no escape, no pretending this wasn't happening. And yet, as she picked up her purse and jingled the car keys, I realized something terrifying. My feet were already moving toward the door. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of the ceiling fan, my heart hammering in my chest. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face the way Mom had looked at me earlier, that unreadable mixture of authority, tenderness, and something that felt far heavier. The following morning, sunlight bled through the curtains, washing the room in pale gold. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, feeling like I hadn't rested at all. My throat was dry and my chest felt tight. For a few moments, I tried convincing myself it had all been some misunderstanding, that Mom hadn't meant what I thought she did. But then I heard the knock at my door. "Stefan," she called softly, her voice calm but firm. "Time to get up. We've got things to do today." I froze. Things to do? What did that mean? My pulse quickened as I dragged myself out of bed and opened the door. She stood there, already dressed immaculately in a light blouse and a pencil skirt, her hair pulled back neatly. She had a bag in her hand, and the way she looked at me sent chills through me. "Breakfast is downstairs," she said, her eyes lingering on me for a moment too long.
Eat.
"We'll talk after." I nodded, my voice trapped somewhere deep in my throat. At the table, I picked at my food, barely tasting the scrambled eggs on my plate. Mom sat across from me, sipping her coffee like nothing was wrong. But I could feel the tension, thick and unspoken, filling the space between us. When she finally set her cup down, she folded her hands and leaned forward. "Stefan," she began slowly, "do you trust me?" The question caught me off guard. My fork clattered against the plate. "Of course I do," I whispered, though the words felt fragile. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Good. Then I need you to listen carefully. Yesterday wasn't an accident. I wanted you to see yourself differently. And today, we're going to continue that journey." My stomach dropped. "Mom, I don't understand." "You don't need to," she interrupted, her voice firm but not unkind. "Not yet. What matters is that you follow my guidance."
Can you do that?
The room seemed smaller, the walls pressing closer. My hands trembled in my lap. I wanted to argue, to demand answers, but something in her eyes kept me silent. It wasn't just authority, it was inevitability. My voice cracked, but I forced myself to nod. "Yes." Her smile deepened, though her gaze remained sharp. "Good boy. Or should I say good child? Soon you'll understand." The way she said it, soft but deliberate, made my skin prickle. My life, my identity was already slipping through my fingers, and she was the one pulling the threads loose. After breakfast, Mom told me to wait in the living room. I sat there nervously, my legs bouncing up and down, unable to stay still. The old grandfather clock ticked in the corner, each sound pounding in my head like a reminder that time was running out, that my control was slipping away. When she returned, she was carrying the bag I had seen earlier. She set it on the coffee table and stood before me, arms crossed, her presence towering over me even though she wasn't particularly tall. "Stand up," she said calmly. I obeyed, my throat dry. She opened the bag and pulled out clothes, delicate fabrics, soft colors, things I had never imagined she would bring out for me. My heart lurched when I realized what they were. A dress, stockings, a ribbon. My chest tightened. Mom, I can't. Her hand shot up, silencing me with a single gesture. Her expression wasn't cruel, but it was immovable. Stefan, I told you, trust me. This isn't about what you think you can or can't do. It's about what you're meant to become. My knees went weak. But I'm your son. Her eyes softened for just a moment, almost sad, almost tender. You'll always be my child. But son, that role doesn't fit you anymore. I can see it. You can't. Not yet. That's why I have to guide you. Tears stung my eyes. I didn't want to cry, but the weight of her words crushed me. She wasn't joking. She wasn't testing me. She truly believed this. She stepped closer, lifting the dress from the bag. It shimmered faintly in the light, pale blue with lace trimming. Go upstairs.
Put this on. Don't argue.
Don't hesitate. Just trust me. I stared at it, my chest rising and falling rapidly. Every fiber of me screamed to resist, to run, to cling to the life I thought I still had. But something in her gaze pinned me down, paralyzed me, and I found myself reaching out with trembling hands. The fabric was lighter than I expected, softer, almost like it was pulling me in. Upstairs, she repeated, her tone gentler this time, but still unyielding. I nodded slowly, clutching the dress against me as I turned toward the staircase. Each step felt heavier than the last, like I was climbing toward something I couldn't undo. By the time I reached my room, my hands were shaking so badly that I could barely hold onto the fabric. I stood in front of the mirror, staring at my reflection, at the dress pressed against my chest. I whispered to myself, my voice breaking, "What's happening to me?" And deep down, a part of me already knew the answer. My old life was unraveling, thread by thread, and Mom was weaving something entirely new.